Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your Wellhouse Misano. This particular one's a 4.1 model, which is the model that they've been making, which essentially has nearly all of the extra bits and pieces that you can have. So you've got your lithium battery, solar panel on the roof, hot water and heating, various bits and pieces. There's a lot more than that, but that's just the basic bits. So I'll just push this door too. Under the bonnet here, obviously based on the Ford Transit, we've got your washer fluid on the left hand side, brake fluid to the right of that, and your engine oil filling point just here. Below that, you've then got your engine oil dipstick, air filter inside this box just here, and your engine coolant over here on the right hand side. Because the engine battery sits in the cab rather than under the bonnet on these particular chassis, you have got a positive terminal just here for the engine battery, and there should be an earthing point somewhere, but essentially positive just there and earth somewhere else wherever you can find a decent earthing point. So probably top of the gearbox there somewhere, or this engine bracket just there, engine hoist bracket, that'll be a perfectly good earth for that. So if you want to jump start it, you go from under the bonnet just there, nice and easy. Air conditioning information is just here, as well as what's that? Yeah, it's all just aircon stuff, I think. Tells you what oil you should use, just general vehicle information just there. So yeah, that's about it for under the bonnet really. So it's based on the 6-speed manual gearbox. Just inside the passenger door, you have got the bonnet release handle just there. So as opposed to the slightly older Transits used to be a key into the front, these ones have now started doing it inside the cab just there. Just to the right, as you get into the opening this door here, there's various bits and pieces. So you've got your chassis plate just here telling you the weight of the vehicle and all the sort of trailer weights and all that sort of stuff. Telling you all sorts of bits really. This is all Wellhouse stuff just here, telling you the uprated bits and pieces and all that. But yeah, so this is all just give sort of vehicle information just there inside the passenger door. You've then got the diesel and AdBlue filling points just there. So yeah, AdBlue, nice and easy. It will just tell you when you need to replace it or fill it back up. You will have to have the door open in order to open the fuel filling point just there, which is just a safety thing really. Yeah, so that's about it for that side. Obviously you've got the sliding door just here, so there's not much to show you on the outside at this point. But if I just pull the door across, just in case. Nice Misano sign writing just there. Try and ignore the state the vehicle's in at the moment. It's just literally been outside in the rain just as I brought it in. So right, so at the back of the vehicle again, we've got the large tailgate there. And the only thing I need to show you at the outside really is that you've got these two things down here. So again, this is another thing that's just standard on the 4.1. You've got the external gas point, which is this one on the right hand side here, and your refillable gas filling point. So this is your gas flow bottle, which is just inside that cupboard just there, which I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, so that's your filling point there behind the black cover, and your actual external gas point is that one just there. To actually get it to come on, all you need to do is make sure your gas is on in the cupboard and then turn the dial just here in order to allow the gas to come through. This particular one has got the reversing sensors and camera as well. If I remember rightly, I think the camera sits, there you go, just there. Really nice clear picture on the camera there. Yeah, again, because this is the 4.1, lots of nice standard extras. Like this one just here, this is your external hot and cold water point just here. So basically you've got your point inside the vehicle somewhere, or at least it should be. It's probably somewhere potentially under the seat there or something. If not, we can pop one in there for you. So you've got your external hot and cold water point. It's a bullfinch fitting, which basically means that it's almost like an airline fitting. So you just literally push it in and turn it. Push it in and turn it around to the right will stop any water coming out. Around to the left a little bit will give you cold, and then left all the way around will give you hot. The piece underneath here is to give you emergency access to the gas bottle, which is, again, just something that they've been thinking about. I mean, Wellhouse have been doing this for a long time now. And, you know, if you're in an emergency or something like that, much quicker just to be able to dive in there and turn the gas off. So that's what that's there for. I will show you around the actual gas system in a minute, but that's sort of, I'll do that as part of the inside section. On the off side of the vehicle just here, we've got your hookup point just here. So the hookup allows you to use anything 240 volt. So basically mains powered, household appliances, that kind of stuff. It will also, when you hook the van up on the mains, it will turn on your battery charger straight away, and give you access to using that. I'm just going to close this door properly. I'm being lazy before. Okay, so down underneath, we've got your wastewater drain off point from this tank just here, and the freshwater drain is on the other side. There you go. That's your freshwater drain off point just there. Don't worry about the water dripping. That's just from where it's been sat outside. But there you go. So that's your freshwater drain off. The actual freshwater filling point for the tank is just down here inside the footwell of the driver's door. So freshwater filling point just there, not to be confused obviously with the with the diesel filling point. Tyre pressures and bits and pieces here, and tyre size for the particular wheel that's on this van. And then I'll show you the cab. So the cab itself, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a Ford expert, but I don't know if this is kind of like an upgraded thing or not, or if it's standard, I don't know. But obviously the vehicle's brand new and hasn't ever been used before. So really high spec in the cab, I know that much. You know, really nice high spec. So you've got on the left hand side of the steering wheel, you've got your cruise control settings here. So cancel, you can also set a limiter, and you can resume, set the speeds and all that sort of stuff from there, as well as your volume settings for the stereo there as well. On the right hand side, you can basically flick through your menu up here and answer and decline phone calls, as well as skipping songs and things like that if you're using like a CD, or well, maybe not CD, but whatever. So that's all that stuff there on the steering wheel. You've then got indicators and flashing on the left hand stalk, washers and wipers on the right. Because you've got the large tailgate, you do have a rear wiper as well, and that's all there on that right hand side. All of your lights are down here, so you're currently on automatic, so you can just leave that alone if you want to. You can also set the headlight aim from there as well as turning on your front and rear fog lamps, or adjusting the that's basically adjusting the light on the actual dash itself. On the actual door, you've got electric adjusting mirrors, so you can essentially choose the mirror you want to move and then move this around like a joystick. That will allow you to move whichever mirror you're selecting. And you can also press up on this to bring the mirrors folding in, so they're electric folding mirrors as well. As I said, you've got the 6-speed manual gearbox. Reverse on this particular one is lift up on the bottom there, over and up to the top left hand side. You've got various bits and pieces just down here, so you've got your parking sensors turning on and off, and sort of traction modes here. You've then got heated seats. Both front seats are heated, and a heated windscreen, which I don't know if you'll be able to see the little lines on it or not. Probably not. No, you can't quite tell on the video. But if you're sat here in person, you can see there's lots of little squiggly lines. Oh, you can just about see it there. Lots of little lines running on the windscreen all the way across, which means you've got the heated windscreen functionality, which obviously in winter is an absolute godsend, because it means that if you're all frozen up, turn the heated windscreen on, and after a few minutes, it'll be completely clear. So always a really nice thing to have. As I said, heated seats. This is all your air conditioning and heating controls just here. So you've got your temperature and fan speed and all of the sort of air conditioning switches and things like that. And to be honest with you, I'm not actually going to turn this whole system on, because really it's all becoming quite standard nowadays. You've got all of your sort of sat nav and all that sort of stuff. It's just on there. It would take me hours to go through the entire thing with you, but it's all working as you would expect for a new vehicle. Yeah, so it's all working quite nicely. You've got various other bits and pieces. Again, I could be here for hours, but you've got your hazard warning lights just there from the middle. You've got a 12 volt and USB socket just there. Cup holder that folds down below the gear stick, as well as cup holders up here in each corner as well. You've also got another 12 volt socket and USB socket up there, so you can sort of put your phone up there, I suppose. This particular model has got the blinds all the way around, which is another thing that the 4.1 has as standard nowadays. These ones that come across in the cab, squeeze the little buttons together, and that will then allow you to pull the entire thing across all the way like that, completely blacking out the front side, the front windows, all the way back like that until it clicks in. Same for the front. These will come together and meet in the middle with a magnetic strip, allowing them to stay together. So I just nip around the other side now as well. I'll show you around the inside. So this is probably the more interesting part, really, showing you around the inside of the van. So if you weren't aware already, the Wellhouse Misanos, in fact, well, most Wellhouse vehicles nowadays come with these really clever, super strong seats. So the Transits have always got the 3 belts in the back, so you have got 5 proper seat belts in this particular one, and the bed, which is obviously also this rock and roll system here, is so easy to use. In fact, I can probably show you with one hand. So you've essentially got, if I just do this first so it's not in my way for the rest of the video, you've got these little arms here which will pull forwards and allow this bottom part of the seat to be clear of this part. You then pull this over all the way, and that is now laid down flat. To then bring down the next part, you've got the handle over there. So you pull the handle up, this section here will then fold down, and then at the back of the van, once that bit's down, you just pull this whole part straight down. All right, so it really is as easy as that. When you push that bit back up, it will just stay there. So it doesn't really get much easier than that. The beauty with this, the Wellhouse conversions and this particular bed as well, is the fact that when you have it laid out, you can actually still move the entire thing backwards and forwards, which, whether or not you can sort of tell from here, I don't know, but you can actually move this entire system all the way to the very front or all the way to the very back. It clears everything on both sides. Obviously, once this door's shut, clears everything there and allows you to sort of do whatever you like with it. You can either have the seat all the way forwards and use this as a huge van, or you can have it all the way back and use this as a massive seating area, and it really does turn into a massive seating area, which I'll show you towards the end of the video. So I will then just quickly, on that same topic, I will just show you how these feet work as well, or the locks. So what you've essentially got, it's crash tested, proper, hefty bits of kit, and what they essentially do is you've got these little circular grooves running through all the way, 2 on each side, and when you press down on this, essentially what it's doing is it's engaging the locks to stop it from moving. And you can see, it does take a fair amount of pressure to get down like that. I mean, they are strong, hefty units. They need to be tight, basically. So that's it in its lock position. You can then do that on both sides if you want to, push it all the way down. And that'll then stop this bed from moving at all. and you know they're so strong that you don't even really get any vibration when you're driving. It's just quiet. To release these back off, you do need two hands really, but you need to essentially push down on this little handle a little bit, just like that, whilst pulling on this little black part at the bottom. When you do that, it basically just allows you to pull this black part out, which will then allow you to lift this all the way back out again. So if I just do that quickly, just so that I can move the bed, use my other hand as well. There you go. So as I said, all I did, I just pushed down on the metal part and pulled this out, and that allowed me to lift it up. The bed will then move wherever I want it to. Okay, so the only reason I did that, you know, released it just then, is so that I can show you towards the end of the video where the bed can go. So first things first, probably the easiest part, or the easiest way to show you this, is the control panel. So the control panel, if I just turn this light off here so you can see it better, the control panel is very, very simple. To get it to come on, you just press the screen like I've just done there. That will then bring the screen to life. So at the moment you can see that I've got the main on and off switch switched to on because it's showing us blue there, and the water pump switch as well. When I've got those two on, that does mean that I can pull the tap and we'll have pressure on the hot and the cold side. It also means when the pump switch is switched on and the pump turns itself off after I've turned the tap off just there, it means that there's no leaks. It means that everything's up to pressure and that we can go ahead and do whatever we want really. So you've then got your level indicators, so your freshwater level and your wastewater levels just there. So we've got half a tank of fresh water and quarter of a tank of waste. We flick through to the next one. You've got your battery voltages, so you've got leisure battery on the left hand side, so that's 13.2. That is absolutely fantastic voltage. And you then also got your vehicle battery voltage next door to that, which anything over about 12 volts is absolutely fine. You've then got the active current that's going through the leisure battery, and essentially what that means is the amount of current that's being drawn from the battery at that particular time. So if we had all the lights on in here, or in fact if I turn the fridge on here, it will eventually, when it starts coming to life, start drawing a bit more power from the battery. Obviously, like I said at the start, this is a lithium battery, so it is a very, very good battery. So it won't draw a huge amount from the battery because it doesn't need to, in a way, but there you go. You've then got, on the right hand side, you've got mains current and solar current. So they're both at 0 at the moment. The reason for that is we're sat inside a garage, so there's no sunlight on the top of the roof, which is why we're on 0 for the solar, and we've got no hookup cable plugged in, so there's no power coming into the van from the hookup. So the moment you put the hookup cable into the van, the battery charger will come to life and start charging up the leisure battery as soon as you've done that, and then you'll have the current written up here. Same as if you drive this van outside, you'll then get a bit of current coming in from the solar panel. On the right hand side, these are just your lights. So you've got dimmable lights through here that come top and bottom of these cupboards, which are really, really nice looking lights. You have obviously also got your LED strip above here as well, all really nice and bright. I mean, it's, you know, the middle of the day at the moment and it's all still quite bright in here. So I'll just turn these lights off. You've then got on the bottom right hand side, you've got your settings switch, which to be fair is still quite important. Okay, so you don't need to worry about this tank fill button on the right hand side. That's not relevant to this vehicle. Now on the left hand side, it's also not, you know, massively relevant. You can leave these both on smart if you should want to. Now what they do, so active battery select, is essentially choosing which battery that the van uses to power things like the lights, or, you know, anything really. Whatever you turn on 12 volt, you need to choose which battery you want it to use. Now where it is at the moment on leisure is the one that you want to use all the time really. There's not really any reason, apart from if your leisure battery is completely dead and you need some power desperately, there's not really any other reason why you would draw power from the vehicle battery. You can sometimes, you know, it depends what sort of vehicle it is. Sometimes they have those there so that you can select vehicle and that will charge the vehicle battery as well. However, you know, I'd have to plug it in and actually have a look. I'm not sure whether or not these charge both at the same time anyway or not. So I'll have a little look into that. But basically, active battery select is the battery that is drawing the power from for lights and things like that. Solar battery select, I don't know if I just mentioned that or not, but is essentially just the battery that the solar power goes to. And at the moment there it's sat on leisure, which is, you know, to be fair, it's probably the one you want to leave it on. Next, on the settings, you've then got your dimmer level just here on 100%. Main lights, you know, just stuff like that really. Lights to be switched on with power button. You can sort of just go through and set it up how you want to. Switch to the right, key beep, water level alarm, tank fill beeps. So, you know, it's just setting it up to how you want it. You know, set backlight levels so you can set how bright this screen is, set how long it takes for the screen to turn off, time and date, and that's it. So that there is the control panel. That is the sort of the brain of the vehicle, if you like. It does at all times show you the external temperature, internal temperature, and the humidity as well. So it's a really clever little control panel, super easy to use. The last version of the Wellhouse control panels were all not digital at all, you know, they were all very analog. So this is a nice kind of upgrade from there. So as you probably heard me say, the little switch, I'll just turn this light back on. The little switch to the left of the control panel here is for your fridge, and that will then allow the fridge to work. You've got a temperature dial inside the fridge just there, but that switch just there with a little amber light in it is the one that essentially turns the fridge on and off. As soon as you do that, you will then be able to hear the fridge doing its thing, because it's a compressor fridge, sorry, which means that you can kind of hear it working when it's on. Below these two little light switches, we've got a 12-volt socket in here. Now that will work as soon as you turn the 12-volt switch, you know, the main power switch on up there. The heater controls, this is all this section here, which I'll show you in a minute. You've got two 12-volt sockets here and a 240-volt hookup socket there as well. So this one will only work when the mains is plugged in. You've got a 2-burner hob up here with electronic ignition from this switch just here. You will need your gas on, obviously, to use either of these two. Same for the grill, actually. But to be completely honest with you, I very rarely actually run through these kinds of things because it's so simple. The only thing I will point out with the grill is that you've got this little bit here which pulls out, and the bottom part will then still close up and hold up like that as well on the magnetic strip there. So you should have this out when you're using it. Otherwise, over a few years or so of using it, all of this stuff just here will start to come away because it gets too hot, kind of starts to melt the glue basically. So that's what that's there for. Make sure that's all the way in, and then close her back up. So yeah, as I said, you know, we've got good pressure in the tap there. The pump switch is still on, it's not running, so that means that we're up to pressure and everything's fine. Just below here we've got this cupboard. There's not much to show you in here. It does tell you the details of the sink there if you should ever need them. The fridge itself, like I said, it's just a 12-volt fridge. I don't know if I wrote it on the habitation sheet or not, but I will just mention, even though this is a 12-volt fridge only, it only works on 12-volt. When you have a hookup cable plugged in, you may or may not notice that when you turn the 12-volt fridge on, it will start to draw, or the van will start to draw a little bit more power from the electric hookup. It should only be about half an amp or so, or maybe not even that. But all that's doing is basically, because when you plug the mains cable into the van, because you've got a battery charger which is keeping the leisure battery up to a certain level, when you turn the 12-volt fridge on, it draws so much power from the leisure battery that the 240-volt mains charger has to work a little bit harder to keep it topped up. So that's why it will draw a slightly higher ampage when you start turning the fridge on. It's not because it's actually 240 volt powered, because it's not. But yeah, that's the reason. It doesn't really matter, but I just like to point it out just in case you ever wondered. To the right of the fridge, we've got a nice little spice rack, if you like, or for whatever you want really. And then we've got the portaloo in this downstairs, well, lower cupboard. So that's what that's there for. To get to it, we'll have to push the bed back. So what I'll do is I'll run you through the diesel heating and hot water system here, and then push the bed back, show you these cupboards down here, and then show you the back end after that. So hopefully that's kind of like an easy way to do it. Just above the driving seats just here, obviously we've got the roof up at the moment and the bed completely out of the way, so I'm stood up here without hitting my head on it. You have got two touch screen lights just here, which do have, yeah, they do have a USB socket on the sides of them. I mean, to be honest, in this particular vehicle, you've got USB sockets coming out your ears, but if you should need any more, they have got them on there. You've also got a light above your head up here as well. Every light in here is LED, so very, very low powered, but bright. So, you know, perfect for motorhoming really, because you have to kind of use, unless you've got a hookup plugged in, you're going to rely on renewable energy really, solar panel, leisure battery, all that sort of stuff. So the low powered LED lights are a bit of a godsend really for us. So the Webasto hot water and heating systems, very, very simple to use. All you've got essentially is a switch just here which turns all the whole thing on. When you turn this on, the water heater will just come straight to life and start heating the water up. And I will say that before I started the video, I was just sort of reminding myself on how it all works. And when you turn that switch on, I think I had it on for about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and I had like really, really hot water coming through the tap very, very quickly. So just bear that in mind. If you are just using this for, you know, a bit of washing up or whatever, it really doesn't take long to get the water hot at all. So I just thought I'd mention that. I will also say, when you turn these diesel heaters on, it's been the same for absolutely years, you will get flickering. If you've got all the lights on, you will get flickering in the lights. Now this isn't like an issue, it's not like a problem. It's just that when the diesel heaters start up, they draw so much power that the rest of the vehicle, they just struggle a little bit to stay on, just whilst it's starting up. It won't last long. But I always like to mention that because it can come as a little bit of a surprise when you first turn them on. So I'll turn it on here. You get a green light coming on around the outside. You can probably see on the video just a little bit of flickering. It's not, you know, it's not bad, but there you go. So that turns the whole thing up, turns it all on. You'll then hear, after a few seconds, the diesel heater lighting up and starting up from the outside. There is a little vent, a little exhaust coming out the back end of the vehicle for it as well. You've then essentially got your fan on and off down here for the heating. So if you want the heating to come on, turn the fan on up there, and your temperature. So after about, you know, 2 or 3 minutes or so, you will have hot air pumping out through the, you probably can't see it from here actually with the seat where it is. Just down here is a nice big metal sort of cover essentially, which is where the fan pumps the hot air out from. But yeah, that's it. That is honestly all you have to do to get your heating and hot water working. So you might be able to hear it at the moment. It's just starting to fire up now. I mean, these heaters are so reliable and easy to use. I don't know why more motorhome manufacturers don't use them, to be honest, but there you go. So if you want to turn the heating off, you don't want the heating to come on, you can turn this dial all the way down to off and turn this down. If you leave this on, you will still get your hot water coming through. But as I said, it literally is a case of minutes before you have hot water coming through the tap. Turn that off, and after a few minutes or so, the heater will start to kind of die off, and You know, it will stay on for a little minute. You'll still be able to hear it. Once you turn that off, it doesn't turn it straight off because it needs to cool itself down by leaving the fan running for a little while. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move a couple of bits out of the way so I can move the bed. So I'm just going to push this across and pop this out here for a minute. So I'll push the bed all the way back. The easiest way I find to do this, put your hand on the middle headrest there and just push with your leg. They are quite heavy beds, you know, I'm not going to not tell you that. I mean, they are very heavy beds. They're proper crash tested. They're, you know, what they need to be basically for a proper motorhome. So down underneath the grille here, we've got this cupboard which gives you a couple of things. Gives you a bit of storage in here and gives you the space for the portaloo or the porta potty down here. So if you should want to use that, that's where it is. If you don't want to use it and you want to just use, you know, the facilities at the campsite or whatever, you can obviously take that out and use it just as storage if you want to. There is also storage under the bed just here. You've got a hookup and hookup adapter, as well as your tripod for the table, which, by the way, if you didn't notice, is on the back of this bed, which I can just point out to you in a minute. This cupboard here underneath the control panel area is quite important. You've got your gas isolator taps just there. So one of them will be for the what would it be? One of them will be for the grill, and one of them will be for the two burners at the top. So essentially, if you want to turn them both off, that'll isolate the gas from any appliances inside the van. You have got an isolator for the external gas point inside the gas locker as well, which I will point out to you in a minute. And you've also got a couple of little fuses in here as well. Okay, so you shouldn't really be opening this cupboard, really. I mean, you can get to it by pushing the seat all the way back. But behind here is essentially just all the gubbins for the, so the water pumps behind there, the diesel heater bits and pieces are in there. So you shouldn't ever really need to get to that, which is why they've got the big vent down there for the heater and all that sort of stuff. So leave that as it is, you know, unless you get an issue. Obviously you can come to us for any problems, but if you get an issue, that's the only time you should ever really need to get into this cupboard. There's no storage in there or anything, just so as you're aware. You have got the big slide out cupboard up here as well, with a little rail at the top there, so that just pulls back down again. A little bit of stiff because it's new, and that's what that's for. And I'll just pull the bed back now. It's easier to push it from the outside, really. So it's as easy as that, to push the entire bed system backwards and forwards. It's literally, you know, I've got one hand at the moment, well, holding the camera, so, you know, you can see how easy that is to move backwards and forwards. And you can also see, I mean, if I'll just point out as well, see the amount of space that I've got here at the front of the seat here is probably just shy of 1 metre. And already we've got over 1 meter's length here at the back. So, you know, you can have a couple of meters of storage space or space for whatever you want in the back. If you push the seat all the way forwards and lock it in place, you know, it makes a huge van. So on the left hand side here, you can take this little piece out, which does give you access to a few bits in here. And I've just found the external shower point. So to use that, as I said, you just basically push this in. I'm not going to do it because I'm inside, but basically just push it in, and then we're on the off position. If I turned this round to the left here, it would fill this pipe up, and then you just do that, basically. Nice and easy. Hot and cold water from that point there. On the back of the bed here, like I said, you've got your table here, so you essentially put the table into this leg here and then pop it onto the tripod. So the reason that they use a tripod is so that you can have the table wherever you want. You can have it outside, you can have it at the front just here, you can have it anywhere, basically. Or of course at the back here with the tailgate open as well. So that's why they have the tripod, rather than making a big hole in the floor to fit it into. The ladder here is also another thing that Wellhouse have, quite cleverly thought up. A lot of pop-top roof motorhome conversions rely on you being okay with basically clambering on the front seats to get up to the bed up the top, whereas Wellhouse have integrated a couple of hooks just here so that you can put the ladder up to there and actually step up to the bed rather than trying to climb up. You actually step up, which is a lot easier, trust me. It's not that other manufacturers have been doing that sort of thing for years, making you climb up on the front seats, but it does get a little bit difficult sometimes. So yeah, at the back here, a couple of really important things. So in this top locker here, you've got your Sargent PSU, which is your power supply unit. So it's an EC700. All of the details of that are just here. But essentially what this is the heart of the vehicle, if you like. So all 12 volt and 240 volt power comes to this box just here first, and then gets diverted and split off to wherever it needs to go from there. So you've got all of your 12, well not all of them, but nearly all of your 12 volt fuses in here with the corresponding diagram to tell you exactly which one does what color it should be, and what ampage rating it should be as well. So they're obviously all correct at the moment. If there was ever any issues with any appliances, you can just have a little look through there. I will point out that it's kind of back to front in a way, because you got fuse 1 is the one at the bottom, I think. Yeah, got a little diagram telling you there. So that's all your 12 volt stuff there at the bottom. You've got a system shutdown button, which you shouldn't have to press. At the top, you've got your mains trip switches. And then to the left of that, you've got a couple of switches that you don't really need to know about. The charger one, you can leave that switched on where it is at the moment, because that means that when you plug the hookup cable in, the charger will come straight on. And the other one you haven't got to worry about because it doesn't work on the mains anyway, it's just diesel only. So charger, leave that on. If you plug a hookup cable into the van and it's got reverse polarity, you get a light coming on there, which basically means the live and the neutral are the wrong way around, normally if you're abroad. And the solar regulator just there. So if you ever notice that the solar panel is putting no power in and you're outside, then it's quite likely to be an issue with the solar regulator. So that's kind of why they leave it nice and exposed there for you. So that's the power supply unit. As I was saying before, you've also got this nice big gas locker with the refillable gas flow bottle in here as well. So yeah, another thing which is becoming standard on the 4.1s is the refillable gas. So refillable gas in general is a lot cheaper to use. It's a lot cheaper to buy it than it is to replace the sort of standard 6 kilo bottles. So yeah, it's a way that a lot of people are going at the moment for this, especially if you're going abroad. Really easy to get a hold of, especially I know it's really easy in France. So right, so I've shown you on the outside already that the filling point is just down here. It's literally a bayonet fitting. It's so easy. But all you need to know really with the actual bottle itself is that to turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off, we go clockwise around to the right. Make sure you go all the way in until the dial stops, and that is then the gas completely isolated. Up here on the actual regulator itself, you haven't got to worry about any of that because that's all just our testing stuff up there. The only thing you might want to think about is this little isolator here, which, as I was saying in the van earlier, that's the isolator for your external gas point. So yeah, that's the gas locker really. As I said, you've got the easy access point just there, so if you were in an emergency and thought, I need to get this gas off quickly, you can just take that off, reach in and turn it off by hand. Or if you are able to get in there and undo it properly, then it might be easier. But there you go. To lock this up, turn the little dial there. It's like a gas, like a household gas cupboard key. And then this one just here basically comes over and has a magnet at the bottom and closes up like that. That's, in my opinion, the reason that, you know, because if you're in an emergency, you're not going to have both those doors open and all that. So it means that you can just literally come here, take that off, reach in and turn it off. Otherwise, it's a case of pulling at the bottom of this cupboard, which can be a bit awkward to open it, and then reach in with the key and all that sort of stuff. So that's why they do that. But yeah, so I will put that back in properly. I'm pretty sure that is about it, really. And it's probably been quite a long video, really. But oh, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll show you the bed up here. So the roof comes down really simply. You do just literally have to pull it. The bed here pulls down. It's on separate struts. The bed will come down separately, and if I just turn that light on there, you'll probably see. So a really good sized bed in there. You've got the this here is actually the carpet for down here, and you've got the mattress there as well. But yeah, so that will just push back up out of the way nice and easily like that. But once you've got that bed pulled down, all you then need to do is grab hold of these handles here, one on each side, pull down on those, and then once you've got it all the way down, making sure that your lights are out of the way and all that sort of stuff. Once you've got it all the way down, you just literally tighten up these straps just here, and you've also got a secondary safety bit here, which is like this seat belt that goes into these. So if these give up for whatever reason, they shouldn't do, but if they do give up, then you've got these, which, you know, are quite a lot stronger. So you won't get your roof flying off, basically. But yeah, that's, you know, really is nice and easy. The only thing I will point out is that when you're actually putting these roofs down and go to tighten it on, is always a good idea, especially if you're on your own with one of these. I do it now. Once you've pulled the roof down, before you've tightened up the straps, just come out of the vehicle and make sure that all of the fabric itself isn't sticking out. So when you've got a rubber seal going all the way around the roof, and essentially all of this fabric needs to be inside of that rubber seal. Otherwise, it will just flap around and get damaged whilst you're driving. So you need to make sure all of that rubber, that fabric is inside that rubber seal all the way around, and then you can tighten it up and close it all up. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. We've got a few of these vehicles at the moment, but this one's sold now, but we have got a blue and an orange one here on site as well. Exactly the same as this, apart from different colour on the outside. So if you should, you know, have any questions about it or want to come down and view them, you can do. They're on the website as well. But yeah, so I think I've shown everything I can on this particular vehicle. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you like going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.